Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 11th day of December. Got a great show with you for tonight. Keith Engel, last minute. He's always a trooper. He's going to hop on 30 minutes into the program. Going to get his comments. I just couldn't. I want to bring Keith on next week because we'll be coming into these college football playoff games. But going to get his take on Bill Belichick and that Juan Soto massive signing with the Mets. So he's going to be in 30 minutes past the hour. Going to talk about that. Bill Belichick, didn't expect that. I got a few comments on that. Thoughts on these college football playoff, the bracket. Not really satisfied with the bracket as well. Stand by. We'll take our first and only break. I'll be back here momentarily, and we will hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program.
I'm Mac, CEO of National Streaming Sports and host of the Mac and Jack Sports Show. You're watching the sharp-dressed man and the big story breaker, Robert Butler, on Sports Scope, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern on National Streaming Sports.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
All righty then. I need to get back on this program because I know I don't have much time here because I know that Keith is coming up. The great Keith Engel from TGI Sports will be on the program here momentarily, about 30 minutes into it. So, okay. Let's start off with Bill Belichick. You know, I'll be honest with you, folks. I've lost a lot of respect for Bill Belichick today. Lost a lot of respect for him. He is supposedly, and now it's been confirmed, I just now read this in Rappaport, NFL Network, ESPN said it. This has been talked about for about 4 or 5 days now, since late last week, of him being in talks with the North Carolina Tar Heels job, the college job, yes, not the pro job, without even waiting for the NFL season to end. Bill Belichick has accepted a 3-year, $30 million contract here. This is 3 years for $30 million to take over for North Carolina, who, you know, listen, he is Belichick 72 years old. So he takes over for fired 73-year-old, if I'm not mistaken, for 73-year-old Mack Brown, who was just recently fired from the school here. And I say all that is because this is clearly, and this is according to The Guardian, and Sports Illustrated is also reported this, The Guardian, that part of his deal, the reason why this took so long was because he wanted his son, 37-year-old Stephen Belichick, to be the coach in waiting once he gets over. So I made some notes here. He wants to bring this NFL style formula to the North Carolina. He's never coached in college. Bill Belichick has been coaching from in the NFL through some way, shape, form, or fashion from 1975 to 2023. This is his off year. He was essentially fired from the Patriots there. But, you know, he's – I've looked this up. He is – Don Shula's got 328 wins in NFL history. Bill Belichick is essentially 25 wins from tying him, 26 from the all-time record here, you know. And so, you know, I just think that, you know, by the way, he would be the oldest coach in college football. Look this up. 72 years old, Bill Belichick. Kirk Ferentz, he's 69 at Iowa. Casey Keller, 65 at Temple. Cal Winningham, 65 at Utah. I actually thought I forgot about Snyder there, Dan Snyder there end up retiring from Kansas State. So here's my thing about the whole son thing with Stephen Belichick, his son. His son's a defense. He's 37. He's worked with Belichick before, the dad, a few years ago as an assistant there. This past year, he's been a defensive coordinator at Washington. Washington University was in the national championship game last year. So it's not like his son has a job where he's not doing that. His son is supposed to join him on this staff with North Carolina, you know. And according to this, when he leaves, Stephen's going to be taken over as coach, you know. And my thing is, why I don't have kids, and I'm still holding out hope. Maybe I'll have kids someday. I don't know. I'm getting up there. But don't you want your son to earn it? You know, I said this about LeBron James when he pulled all those strings to get Bronny there to the Lakers. Everybody knows this guy was considered a G League player, second-round pick, whatever. And it's all about LeBron. You know, don't you want your son to earn it? You know, don't, for his sake, not for your sake, for his sake, to feel like he's earned it on his own. Now, I know nepotism. This is with college. Frank Beamer, son, the legendary Virginia Tech coach. I know his son is the coach at South Carolina. He's doing a good job. Lou Holtz's son's coaching. You know, Skip Holtz, I think that's what his name is. Here in Nashville, Brian Callahan, Bill Callahan's his dad. He's hired his dad. But my thing is, you know, you're arguably the greatest coach in NFL history. You know, you're teaching everything your dad. By the way, his dad taught for Carolina or he coached as an assistant for North Carolina in the 50s. Bill Belichick. Ironic, right? When he was in the Naval Academy. But, you know, with that work ethic that Bill has, why wouldn't you just want him to do it on his own? He'll appreciate it more if he does it on his own. That's just the way I see it. Maybe others see it some other way. Hey, it's too difficult, blah, blah, blah. Let me reach in and help my son out. I just don't get it. I think my opinion is Belichick is going to he's not going to do any door knocking or anything like that. He's going to set it up where people come to him for recruits and work the transfer portal and whatnot. And I think that he is I think that Belichick is going to be there 1 year. He's going to set up shop, and then he's going to go next year to the NFL somewhere, maybe to the Cowboys. I don't know. Maybe to Philadelphia or somewhere. I don't know. I don't know. But it's Bill Belichick's a lot sneakier than I thought he was. And again, I just lost a lot of respect for him today with that. I just, I'm out of Nashville. Who was it? Bud Adams. The reason why Jeff Fisher was fired here, or they mutually agreed to depart ways, was because Fisher wanted his son to get a job here, and Bud Adams did not like that. He said, no, he didn't like the conflict of it. He just did not like that. He thinks that you'd get preferential treatment or whatever. And of course, Fisher went his own way. But that's my take on that. I'm pretty sure the defense will be good. The over and under 6.5 wins for next year. They won 6 this year. Maybe they went 7 or 8. I'll watch it. I know Belichick's defense is going to be good. But my prediction is this is going to be a one and done, and then he's going to let his son take over and get a shot there. And I guess he's feeling like, and there's a lot of memes going out, is his girlfriend who's 24 years old, is she going to be jealous of him being around all those co-eds and everything, and all this funny stuff. But it just seems like a sleazy attempt to get your son a head coaching job when I think, you could have waited, took another NFL job, and let your son learn on his own, make his own name for himself. At 37, he's still very young, coach, and he knows that. Belichick 72 is still coaching, right? So it is what it is. I've got a few other things to comment on. Speaking of the college playoff, the last Saturday, I thought the games were good, especially the nail-biter. I called that, Georgia over Texas. Nice comeback there. Didn't watch it, but I saw the highlights. I've got it recorded, actually, for SMU Clemson. But, of course, Clemson holds them off. Does seem like the committee, though, was trying too hard to pander to non-SEC teams. Like Nick Saban says, how many SEC losses compared to other losses of Big 12 or an ACC do they compare to? Is 3 losses in the SEC compared to 2 losses in the Big 12 or the ACC? I think that's a fair point. You could make the argument for an Alabama. You could make the argument for a who was the other one? A South Carolina. You can make the argument for an Ole Miss. But they really screwed this thing up now. It's the first year. As far as the seeding of this thing, it's the first year. Hopefully, they'll make the correction next year, Carlos. Hopefully they'll make the correction and not do like college has done in the past and simply, just let things ride out because college is so slow to implement new rules. The NFL made it that quick. Make it this quick. I'm sure the committee's hearing a lot of it. For example, Tennessee and Ohio State play not Saturday, but that's another thing. They should be playing this Saturday. They didn't play last week. What's with the hold off? If they play Saturday coming up, Tennessee, Ohio State, it still gives the teams that played conference championship weekend a week off, and you don't have a weekend where you're having nothing against Army Navy, But nobody, I don't want to watch it. I might glance at it, but it's just not great football. And nothing against the Heisman Trophy presentation, but it's an hour, okay? It's an hour. And you're just sitting there for the last 5 minutes to find out who won the Heisman, which it looks like it's a runaway for Travis Hunter, you know? But my thing is Ohio State, Tennessee, and either Texas, a Clemson winner, or Arizona State winner, they will have to play Oregon, the number 1 overall seed. They got the worst, you know, and the whole bracket thing. What's up with the brackets? That's another thing. Change the brackets, okay? In the NFL, they do everything right. That's why they got the most ratings. They just seem to be the most successful league. The winner of the brackets in the round, they get reseeded, okay? Other words, say if Tennessee upsets Ohio State or whatever, the lowest seed standing would play the highest seed, okay? That's how the NFL is. In other words, if the wild card wins in the first round, just because you don't have a bracket here and says no matter what happens in one game that the team that's the 1 seed, the Detroit or Kansas City, they play this team no matter what. No, Detroit or Kansas City will play the highest seed left. You know, the weakest link left as far as seeding. That should be like that in all sports. All sports. But the NBA can't get it right. The NCAA can't, but I understand the NCAA because it's so many teams, but still, you get my point. It would be pretty confusing. This thing should be highest to lowest championship. Bam. You know? So Penn State has to go through SMU Boise to get likely a UGA. Hopefully the committee will clean this thing up. So it looks like a pretty good route for Georgia. You know, I said that Ohio State would beat Georgia for the national championship. I don't know about that, but that was my preseason, you know. But it does look good for Georgia again. Of course, Georgia lost their quarterback. I don't know how this new guy's going to play out. He looked good in the second half of the Texas game, per se, you know. But anyway, 50-plus field goal, Carlos says, for the win. Oh, yeah, that was a nice comeback there for Clemson. Kind of keeps Dabo around for a little while, you know. All right, I did want to comment on this. Juan Soto, got about 12 minutes, and then we'll have Keith Engel from TGI Sports come on. Okay, all right, now, the old adage is, talking about Juan Soto, 700-something, 15-year contract, 64, whatever. It's the biggest contract, almost $1 billion, 700-something million dollars. Tops 760. What was it? Yes, a 15-year, 765 to the Mets. And according to this, the Yankees had offered him 760 over 16 years with a $60 million. So they offered 765 over 15 years for Juan Soto. And the old adage is the market is what someone is willing to pay. Of course, it's too much. All these contracts are too much, you know, but it's what somebody's willing to pay, folks. You know, these 10-year contracts don't work, of course. Big market contracts. Shohei Ohtani, he just won the World Series, all right? The Yankees with A-Rod, massive contract twice. The first big contract that really blew people's socks off was the Alex Rodriguez $250 million contract. We're going back practically 20 years at this point, right? That he signed with the Rangers. It was horrible for the Rangers. The Yankees absorbed that contract and finally won a World Series in 2009 with Alex Rodriguez. Now, of course, you've got what normally comes out of these type of contracts. Mike Trout's never done anything with the Anaheim Angels. Robertson Cano with the Seattle Mariners. Joey Votto with Cincinnati. Albert Pujols with the Anaheim Angels. Another massive contract as well before that. Joe Mauer with Minnesota. Mainly the small markets don't work. But the Mets with their market there. And I'm going to bring Carlos on Friday. I hope you're still listening. And then we're going to start off talking about that Soto contract, not unless something tops this thing. But if they win one World Series, in my opinion, if they win one World Series, I think it's worth it. For the Yankees, I think the Mets. I think the Mets fans will be okay with it if they win one World Series. Obviously, last 4, 5, 6 years, perhaps. He's 26 years old. He would be 41 years old when this thing is over with. I'm sure they'll find a way to move off of it. I think Steve Cohen, he's the richest owner in the league, $21.3 billion. I think he can handle it. We don't know all of what the revenue is from baseball. Want to say about 30% TV revenue. Maybe they don't want to go to revenue sharing. It's not quite like, I know they have luxury tax and everything like NBA, but it is what it is. I'm not here to say it's going to be a disaster or whatnot. The Yankees, normally the Yankees under Steinbrenner, the dad, he would have never let this happen. He's never going to lose a bid, even if he knew it was going to hurt him. But the Steinbrenners did. They let Soto walk. This insane contract here. I like Soto, but man, come on. I was reading that the market, this is from, I looked this up on Google here, and this is multiple sourced here. MLB Network, Sportico, Yahoo Sports. I love this little AI review thing, folks, from Google. It says Juan Soto's market, which I think he's going to play right field, was driven by a number of factors: unique talent, his desire, testing the market, money available. Soto's desire to test the market. He turned down a $440 million 15-year offer from the Nationals in 2022 to test the free agent market. You think about that. Now he's got 15 years, just 2 years later, for $300 million more, Kathy. Can you believe that? That is like hitting one of these wild power balls that has been sitting there for months. Occasionally, and I do mean occasionally, maybe once a year, when the Powerball gets anywhere from $700 million to $1 billion. You can't even put $1 billion on the billboard on Interstate 40 here in Nashville. It just says 1. And I'm like, okay, it was 999 last week. So I guess it's over $1 billion for the Powerball. Okay. So that's essentially what Soto has. Now, I haven't read anything that he's going to do a Shohei Ohtani type of contract, so they can just pay him little by little in increments, so he can, so the team can load up on players around him. It's not like a situation where the Mets were a bad team and they're trying to buy a championship. The Mets were in the NLCS last year. They could use relief pitching just like the Yankees could use. And that's what I'm going to ask Keith Engel. What does he think about the Yankees? What are they going to do with that money they had set aside for Soto? Are they going to go after pitchers? Quite frankly, if I'm the Yankees, go out and get relief pitching, man. I'm really starting to get back into baseball again. I might not have the love I did at 14 for baseball, or when I really, really watched a lot of baseball was back in, I was just watching a few weeks ago, the comeback, the 2004 Boston Red Sox against the Yankees being down 0-3. I was just watching that. I really love baseball there. I mean, that was awesome, man. That was a great comeback. Very intense rival there. So this guy talking about betting on yourself. It's 26 years old. Got a bigger contract there. So again, you are what somebody's willing to pay you. You are what somebody's willing to pay you. I keep thinking that teams are going to stop offering these contracts, and every year now we're seeing them. Machado and Tatis, and that's in a smaller market. And the truth of the matter is, San Diego's, and they're getting to the playoffs. So, there's big money in sports right now. I just read that it's a valuation of the Eagles is over $8 billion now, because I want to say a percentage of the Eagles was approved to be sold by Jeffrey Lurie today. So pro sports never been major league pro sports, MLB. I know the NBA's having its problems here in ratings, but they've got a lot going on overseas here, and they're doing pretty good. Major League Baseball doing pretty good. NFL just announced they're going to have a game in Berlin next year, doing quite well. And still my favorite sport, although they've got about a third of this league that's down and out. So interesting story. I'm going to follow the Mets. I can't wait to hear what Carlos has to say in his breakdown of that on Friday. So you had the Mets in the NLCS. I know this is going to cause a big rift there. How is it going to be in the Subway Series next year? What kind of boos is he? I've seen videos on was it TikTok of people saying F Soto, the Yankees fans. But if you're a Yankee fan, it could be a blessing in disguise. You can go out and get better pitching. It wasn't Soto that hurt. It's just get some better defenders. Don't have a fifth inning like you did. What was it in Game 6? Total collapse in the World Series there. But they got back to the World Series, and that's one step ahead. So we'll see how this thing plays out here. I had an Andrew Luck story. I think I'm just going to talk about that tomorrow, with what college football has became with this general manager thing and everything. Him and Adrian Wojciechowski in basketballs using that. But this Belichick thing, last Friday when I was talking to Carlos, I was for sure that was not going to go through. I thought it was just Belichick trying to show some kind of humility and just interview for a college job and then turn it down just to send the signal to the pros. Because again, he's 25 games out of Don Shula's record. He's 25 games out of Don Shula's record here. Shula with 328, George Halas with 318, and Bill Belichick with 303. So he's 15 from Halas. And again, 25 games, so 26 more games. I mean, so essentially, if he's on a good team, 2.5 years, 2 years? Well, if he can get the old Patriots going again, those old 14-2 teams, which are 17 games a season. I don't know, 2.5 seasons on a bad team. And for the record, Andy Reid has 270 to Belichick's 303. So that would be 33. Andy Reid's going to have to hang out for another. These are regular season wins. Of course, he's going to have to hang out for another 2.5, 3 years. See if he might be able to catch them. But I don't know if Andy Reid might not win this next Super Bowl and retire, or he may look at it and say, I want to be the greatest of all time. Let's see how many years it would take for me to get that. That he would essentially have 50. He's 58 wins outside of that. But anyways, okay, perfect transition. Keith Engels backstage, folks, from TGI Sports, came in on a last minute request. So we got to give him a round of applause. Keith.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you for that.
Okay, Keith. Don't let me put words in your mouth. Keith Engel, TGI Sports, everybody. What do you think about Bill Belichick taking this job with the North Carolina Tar Heels today? I still can't believe it, man.
Oh, it's a jaw dropper for me. I mean, when this first was reported, I laughed it off. I said, this can't be true. I thought maybe he was doing somebody at North Carolina a favor by being able to drop his name so he could push some other candidate to move faster.
Thursday, Friday, that's what I'm thinking last week, right, Keith?
Exactly. Around that time frame, I thought, yeah, they're trying to push some other candidate to pull the trigger because and say Bill's on it. I didn't think anything of it. As I start to hear more about, bringing Steve Belichick with him and we still don't know what the wording is, his contract, whether Steve's even coming at all or whether he's going to be part of a succession plan. I don't know. We'll find that out in the coming days. It started to seem more real. And then early this week, when we found out he spent like 5 hours on Sunday interviewing again, and he had talked on the Pat McAfee show about how college football is so much like the NFL, and he wants to be able to set up a feeder program to the NFL and teach these kids what to expect. By the way, I didn't hear him talk about winning ACC championships or national championships. I heard him talking about setting up an NFL feeder program. Whatever.
Sounds like John Calipari for Arkansas now.
I
Nothing
don't know
about winning a tournament, Keith.
I don't know what. My guess is his people are telling him he wasn't going to get offered a job in the NFL. And he got $10 million a year for 3 years guaranteed. Is Steve coming? I don't know. Okay. Did Bill Belichick still? I think maybe either he didn't like the jobs or he was told, look, you're not likely to get offered, Bill, because of the word around the league, whatever. If you got another direction you want to go. I suppose you would think the door is closed now on Bill Belichick ever coaching the NFL again.
Okay.
But I mean, if he goes 11-1 next year for some reason, somehow at North Carolina, because I'm sure he'll do well in the transfer portal. I'm sure kids will want to come there and think they might have a better path to the NFL or for whatever reason, to play for a 6-time Super Bowl champion.
Yeah.
Maybe he has a great year and he gets a great offer in the NFL and leaves after a year. That's possible.
Okay, hold that thought. The Guardian, this guy named Kevin Olani or whatever, Ollie Conley of The Guardian reported on Tuesday that Belichick had informed UNC he wanted to see changes regarding salary organizational things. But he also said that negotiations included a guarantee that Stephen Belichick will be named the head coach in waiting.
Yep.
And if that's true, I've lost a lot of respect for Bill Belichick doing that. And like you said, that's what I'm thinking, Keith. He's going to get it set up 1 year. He's going to wait for another 7 or 8 NFL jobs to go. And he's going to get his son this job. And then he's going to go back to the NFL. And I'm thinking, he's 37 years old. He's already a defensive coordinator for Washington, Stephen. I mean, wouldn't he appreciate it more if he earned this on his own, Keith?
Absolutely. And I do think it's true. I said we haven't seen the contract. We don't know. I do think it's true. I
hope it's not true, Keith, but geez.
I would hope it's not true. And by the way, how are you doing your son to what you said? I would think he'd want to earn his way to a job, right? And he's very well might. He's very well respected around the game. He probably would have made it there, maybe not as fast as this.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. I mean, He named it. By the way, Belichick's being named coach in waiting hasn't worked out well in history. Just if you're a Jet fan.
with Jared Mayo.
No. But Bill Belichick too. He was named coach. Remember
with Parcells?
With Parcells.
Yes, that's why
work.
I bring you on. You keep reminding me of those nuggets.
So maybe he'll be writing on a napkin in a few weeks. I resign as HC of the NC.
He's gonna get off the treadmill and write it on the napkin, huh?
I look at, and by the way, North Carolina is not exactly a powerhouse. They haven't even won the ACC since 1980. Hey, what kind of job is he setting Steve up for?
Right.
It's not a bad job, but still, I mean, this whole thing is really as weird as a situation I can remember in quite a while. And he is always in the middle of these things, right? This is kind of different circumstances, obviously, but it reminds me a lot of when he just resigned in one day as the head coach of the New York Jets. I mean, this is the kind of thing you can expect out of Bill Belichick, the unexpected.
That is true. He's a sneaky son of a gun, Keith.
Yeah,
you think you got him figured out, man.
Well, I got to give credit to Ed from Columbus, one of my viewers on my college football show. We were talking about this before I came on, and he said Bill Belichick from Super Bowl to the Myrtle Beach Bowl. So that's
the Outback Bowl, Tampa.
Oh gosh! So it's a shock. It's a shock to me still.
Yeah, me too, man. I keep thinking this is so. It just seems really beneath Bill Belichick to do something like this, man.
Yeah, you would think so, but I seriously, I think as you said, and I said as well, the door's not closed on the NFL. Nobody should think this is it. He's done. He's given up his hopes of getting the win record because he could very well leave after a year, as you said. And again, then I might even have less respect for him because he didn't even stay the whole 3 years he said he'd be there.
Yes, if he stayed the whole 3 years, I would have some more respect. I would have a little bit. At least he give the recruits something. I'm looking at this. Don Shula, 328. Bill Belichick, 303. George Halas, 318 in wins. Somebody's got. We talked about maybe the Bears. I don't know if I talked with you or somebody.
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
Yeah, man.
He said on McAfee show the other day he doesn't understand the what's going on in the NFL. Why? Basically, he doesn't know why nobody's contacted him about potential openings. Because
you think he's telling the truth?
I think it's possible he thought there was no job, or maybe there'd be no job he wanted. I would have thought the Bears would be attractive to him. I would have think if he waits. I think I talked about to you this last week. Yeah. I think again, maybe if they turn it around, they played well the other night. The Bengals, if they don't,
I think that was a great idea, Keith.
That would have been a great fit for him, but he wasn't willing to wait it out. I don't know. I mean, even Jacksonville would have some appeal, but less than these other
franchise quarterback there. He could have brought back who's the guy? McDaniels. Somebody
did point out to me that you may see McDaniels on this staff in Carolina. Because he's not
getting. They can't get a job anywhere else. He just carries his crew around.
I would not be shocked to see Josh McDaniel on that staff. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't be shocked to see some of those old Patriot guys on this staff.
Yeah,
including Steve, obviously. So
yeah, it's really stunning, man. Okay.
He finds a way. The biggest story of this week was obviously the playoff announcement Sunday. And he found a way to upstage that conversation in the middle of the week because all we're going to talk about is Bill Belichick. I mean, I talked about him for half of my college football show today. And I don't think I've ever I had brought up Belichick. I mean, the guy's never coached in college in 48 years. He's never coached in college. He was
1975, folks.
People want to go, he was around the college game for a long time. No, he wasn't. He followed his father around as a ball boy. That's about all he ever did in college.
In the 50s, his dad was an assistant coach there.
Yeah, he was
ironic. 3 generations will be potentially in North Carolina.
Yeah, he was a gopher in the NFL by the time he was like 21 or 22 years old. So he didn't spend no time in college football. Now, it's a different world. It's a different world. He's not wrong. It's more like the NFL than it ever was before. There's no salary cap, so you can spend as much money as they're willing to give you to go out and buy players. So it'll be very interesting. I think
Yeah, and some are saying maybe because he's having a midlife crisis, he's seeing a 24-year-old, and maybe she'll get jealous of him being around the co-eds.
I think it's as weird as that
The
relates.
jokes are coming all over the internet.
Yeah,
everywhere.
it is. Now, here's what's funny, and as weird and as creepy as that whole relationship is, by the way, being a college coach is probably better for a relationship than being a pro coach, because historically, you got a lot of guys that do your dirty work. Steve Spurrier's a great example. Right. He played plenty of golf when he was at Florida and whatever college job he had, and he got to the NFL, and it's a 24/7, 365 grind, and he couldn't deal with that. And I would think a lot of relationships can't. Belichick's been through a couple out of the zone, so maybe college.
Even with this NIL, you still think that in the transfer portal the way it is now?
I mean, yes, I think it's not. Well, it's getting more like the NFL, and jobs getting more like NFL jobs. And he even said it himself, and I'm sure he'll throw himself in it like an NFL coach. How successful he's going to be, I think this first year he'll attract a lot of attention and maybe a lot of really interesting players. Somebody's dream scenario I saw the other day was Cam Ewers decides not to go pro, stays at Texas. Arch Manning transfers to North Carolina, and Bill Belichick win the national championship next year.
Oh, wow.
It's just total speculation.
Bring Peyton Manning in as a offensive coordinator or a consultant. Carolina would love that, wouldn't they?
Oh, just let him promote the program, because he's very good at marketing himself, so he can market the program. It's gonna be interesting. Every ex-player he's had has said he'll be a horrible college coach.
I know.
Picture him in a kid's living room saying, come, don't come. I don't care what you do. Just
But Deion's I've read he hasn't set foot in anybody's living room.
Not once. And I wouldn't think Belichick's going to either. I really don't
have that same model, probably. Like you said, he'll just filter it out,
I think this will be a portal program for sure.
Yeah.
Again, one of the things that had to be hashed out, as I understood it, before Belichick, because he was offered the job and still hemmed out and hawed over it for a couple of days, because he wanted to know how much NIL money would be available. What do your people got for me to spend, basically? But we know the programs don't spend the money. It's the NIL people, the alumni. They're the ones who spend that money. Don't be fooled for a second. Belichick, as well as every other NCAA coach, they say where that money's going to go. And I'm sure he will use it to his advantage this year. And maybe Carolina, in what isn't an overwhelming ACC, gets into a playoff next year. And
that would be interesting. Yeah, they need the spurt. The defense will be better. They were horrible.
Nobody's mentioned this, but the ACC, with Florida State wanting to get out of there, Clemson looking to maybe get out of there, this is a boost for this league. And then if he's there for that 3-year term, it's going to help them and keep their the spotlight on this conference brighter than it might have been, because these look at the Big 12, the new Pac-12, the ACC. They're going to be in the shadow of the SEC and the Big 10 forever. Yeah. And this helps shine a little bit of light there.
I tell you what, it makes the college game more interesting. What do you think about the way these brackets were set up? I felt like Oregon got robbed. They got the best seed, and they got to go through Tennessee or Ohio State, maybe Texas.
This is I mean, you look at the other side of the bracket. Yeah. I mean, Boise State's going to play Penn State or SMU. They could easily get to the semifinal. I think Notre Dame comes out of this smelling really good. Notre Dame gets Indiana at home, which they should win that game.
Yes.
They're going to get a beat-up Georgia team in the quarterfinals.
Right.
And potentially SMU, Penn State, or Boise in the semifinal.
Yeah.
It's up really nice for Notre Dame. If this is Notre Dame's best chance of a national championship since 1988. They've had other playoff appearances, but they've gotten blown out. This team's got a real chance because the only good team here is Oregon, and they got a tough draw. And this is one thing they got to fix, Robert. And this is really a byproduct giving all these buys to the conference winners and not. So the seedings, why they do a ranking and a seeding, they keep confusing people, right? So if you look at the playoff ranking, Alabama's still ranked at number 11, but they don't get in because Clemson knocks them out, So it's just do one or the other. Why confuse people? And
I hate the bracket. Forget about the okay. The highest seed, like the NFL, plays the lowest remaining seed. Keith,
exactly.
That's the way the NFL has everything right, and everybody else is playing.
Yeah, you got to reseed these teams, or in the second round. You can't just have this bracket. They want to keep it like the NCAA tournament, right?
That's 68 teams.
But there's no buys or anything there.
Yeah.
The ones playing 16, and it's going to always be, sometimes there are some fortuitous things that happen, but only through upsets, not because you were placed in a bad bracket. The number one team in the country has got the hardest trip to the final. That's crazy.
A bunch of academics, a bunch of educated idiots, just between me, you, and the audience, Keith.
Oh, God. I mean, the NCAA could, and this isn't the NCAA either. I mean, they don't run this. This is the College Football Committee. This is really theoretically nothing to do with the NCAA.
It seems like they pandered to a lot of these teams. And Nick Saban had a great line. How many losses does one loss or two losses mean for from the SEC to the Big 12 and the Big 10? I thought that's a good point. He's trying to make maybe for Alabama. I know Alabama blew that. Oklahoma.
Okay, he's got a point, but all those people who are talking about the strength of schedule, I get it.
Yeah.
The Alabama AD goes on and says, well, I guess we'll just have to change the way. We'll just have to schedule easier. Well, you can't schedule conference games. You lost 3 games in your conference.
That's true.
You guys decided to put this super conference together.
Yeah.
Which means have good teams have 3 losses. And this is what you reap what you sowed.
That's true. That's the flip side. That's the flip side.
I mean, I don't have any I have no sympathy for these schools in the SEC or the Big Ten who are going to get left out now and in years to come. And I guarantee you when the new TV contract for this playoff comes up in 2 years, they're going to push for 14 teams and 4 buys for each conference. And, I'm sorry, 4 automatic bids, and they get both the buys, and they're going to wreck this whole thing if they get a chance.
But you made a good point. Why should a conference winner that's not ranked as high get these buys? Like, you see what I'm saying?
That's the part.
Boise shouldn't be ranked this high.
Yeah, that's not. I don't have a problem with the teams getting in the playoff. Arizona State,
right? Yes,
Boise States. I'm fine with them getting in. In fact, I think we should have a tournament. I think I might have told you, and again, not my original idea, Basement Bob.
The guy in the basement, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying this is what I've heard this over and over again. 16 teams, 10 conference winners get in, 6 at large. Everybody is happy, and you rank them, right? Just like you rank these 1 through 12, and 1 plays 12. Yeah, well, it can't be 1. You know what I mean. The conference, you should just have the rankings determine the buys.
So So why have the rankings if they don't determine the buys, Keith?
It's foolish. And again, if you went by the rankings, who would have got the buys then? It would have been Oregon, Georgia, Texas, and Penn State. Penn State, I might have an argument with that because I think Ohio State, I think Tennessee, and I think maybe in Notre Dame all should be ranked higher than Penn State. But still,
especially Notre Dame, they only got 1 loss. It was a bad one, but still.
And then you'd have Oregon matching up with, Indiana or Boise State in the quarterfinal, not Ohio State or Tennessee. That's a big difference,
They really screwed. I can't see how they screwed this up this bad. Because at one point they had Tennessee, prognosticators were predicting Tennessee would play Penn State in the first round, not Ohio State.
No, Penn State, I think it's they got a very fortuitous.
It's like they got somebody in the committee that's like a Penn State alumni or something.
I think this seeding really, well, it's good for the underdogs. If you really want a real underdog to get there, there's a real chance Boise State could get to the final. There's a real good chance.
I want to see that running back up close and personal, man. Don't you think like a Tennessee and Ohio State who did not play last week? Why do they have this open week, right? why couldn't they just play this weekend? You know,
Well, because they want a whole, day of football. That's why. I mean, so
just put it all in one day.
Yeah, TV runs this thing. As long, ESPN pays a gazillion dollars for this tournament. They're gonna determine when they play and who plays when.
Yeah,
they're not
it
going
would
to
be nice to have the standalone game and have it spread out more, but we'll see. Hey, man, I wanted to bring you on next week to get your predictions of these games because we don't play the next week. But that Belichick stuff blew my mind.
Let
me ask you, what do you think about Juan Soto signing with the Mets? It's a lot of money, man.
Yeah, I said all along that it's funny. I have these. There's one guy that just hope I'll piss him off if he's watching. He kind of send me private messages about the Yankees, I think, just to provoke an argument with me because he asked my opinion. Then all he asks is my opinion is so he can give me his, which is fine. Just tell me your opinion. Anyway, he kept saying he's coming back to the Yankees. He loves the Yankees. I said, follow the money. He's going wherever he gets the most money.
Yeah.
It's about $5 million a year he decided to go to the Mets for. And again, all this stuff about, my family and the security and the suite, and they kicked my kids out of the clubhouse. That's all how come I didn't hear
did he come up with that storyline?
Oh, he had a couple of things. He asked for a private suite. The Mets gave it to him. The Yankees wouldn't. Last year during the season, supposedly there was a couple of instances with his kids where the kids didn't belong. So they removed them.
Oh, wow.
I don't think they were picked up and, removed. They were just told kids can't be here. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the rules, Juan. Well, the Mets, maybe they've given him free reign. I don't know. I said all along, this guy, I don't really think he cares about winning. This guy that I would get in this conversation with, he wants to win. He wants to win. He knows the Yankees got a better chance. I said he cares about the money. That's it.
It sounds like it. He turned down a big chunk from, I was reading from the Nationals a couple years ago.
Before he got traded to the Padres. Sure.
To the Yankees.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like $422.
Yeah, well, look at he's getting.
It's a huge amount of money.
The Yankees are going to be better off in the long term if things break right. I mean, they're looking at Kyle Tucker, who to me, he's not the hitter. He's a really good hitter, and base runner, and a Gold Glove fielder. So he gives me the whole package. Soto is a great hitter. That's all he is.
That's what I was going to ask. What are they going to do with the money? That's a lot of money they got left to use.
They already spent $218 million of it on Max Fried yesterday.
Okay. From Braves down here.
They're talking about a trade for Kyle Tucker, who would be in his walk year next year, which they're in some pretty stiff competition to get him. But they've got holes to fill. In the bullpen, they've still got a hole at first base. They got a hole at second base or third base, wherever Jazz Chisholm doesn't play.
They do need some more gloves, man.
I think they need a center fielder.
Yeah.
Because I don't want Judge in center field every day. So they've got money to spend now. Some work's going to have to get done in the trade market because I'm not crazy about a lot of the free agents that are out there that will fill these types of holes. Not a big Pete Alonso fan. To me, he's a modern day Dave Kingman. He's not that great a fielder. He strikes out. Yeah, he hits a lot of home runs, but
you got those guys.
Yeah, I want a really solid defensive first baseman and somebody who can. I love Anthony Rizzo, but his time was done. But I need a guy like Anthony Rizzo in his prime. Right?
What about relief pitching, man? Middle relief guys.
They need help. The Mets, good luck with Holmes. He couldn't be a starter the last time. Clay Holmes signed with them to be a starter. I don't know what they're thinking about, but he's a good middle reliever, and he did good work for the Yankees, except he can't close and he can't start.
Yeah.
Yankees have got some work to do in that bullpen. I don't know that they want Kennedy to be the full-time closer as well as he did last year. They need to do some work there. They got 7 starters right now, but again, health is an issue with really all of them when you think about it. Max Fried has had some health issues the last couple of years. Garrett Cole this past year. Nestor had some health issues. We know Rondon's had health issues, so they got 7 starters that could easily turn into 3. If they want Kyle Tucker, they're likely going to have to move at least one of those starters to the Astros.
Do you think this is going to work out for the Mets? They did make it to the NLCS last year.
for the Mets, I can see why they did this. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
They still got holes to fill besides, right field and bat.
Right field, yeah.
But this is the kind of guy that Francisco Lindor had a great year last year.
Yes.
And any other year might have been the NL MVP if it wasn't for Ohtani's outrageous year.
Historic, yeah.
They needed that. They needed a guy like Soto in the lineup, right? He's not going to help you in the field. He's not going to help you on the bases, but he's going to hit. We know he's going to hit. And, it was too easy to pitch around Lindor and some other guys there. Hello, Linda. How are you?
It's my thing is before you got on, I said, if they win a World Series out of any of these 15 years, and they'll probably have to deal him in 7 or 8, I think the Mets fans will be okay with it. But look at how these contracts, a lot of them don't work out. I mean, you didn't see it work out with Mike Trout, but the big markets, it has worked out with A-Rod and the Yankees in 2009, and we just saw Ohtani with the Dodgers, but who's the guy that went from the Yankees to Seattle? It didn't work out for him. I can go back in my notes. He's in here somewhere.
Trying to think who we're talking about. Cano. Robbie
Cano. Cano. And it just don't work out in the small markets,
It doesn't work out for the teams. The players get their money, so it worked out.
They get the money, but why do teams these are ridiculous contracts. 10 years, 15 years, Keith. It's crazy.
And they know at the back end they're not going to get their money's worth, right? Again, Here's my thing. I always say this, Robert, because guys go, he's not worth it. He's not worth it. And I'm like, you're worth whatever somebody's willing to give you.
That's what my opening show was with. Yeah.
Whether you earn it, that's a different conversation, right? I'm worth whatever they pay me.
Yeah.
Now I have to go out and earn it. And some guys do and some guys don't. Some guys end up in bad situations. Now, Soto showed he can play in New York. We've seen lots of guys come to New York and get big contracts or big expectations and then not work out because they can't handle a town like New York. It's a different animal than most every other place in sports, And but Soto showed that he could come here and play. It's not San Diego, it's not Washington, but he showed he can play. He likes New York. I'm not surprised he's a Met. And for the Mets, it makes sense. It's okay. I'm glad the Yankees didn't spend the money because there's other places I'd rather spend it, and we got a star.
Yeah, got 2 of them.
He's never going to be the
Judge
star.
is in his prime, so
He is.
Yeah, and I know that John Rostano's a little upset, but he wanted Soto bad. I didn't know Soto was going to command this much money. His agent must be really working the system, man. I mean, he got more than Ohtani. Ohtani's doing everything.
Well, if he pitches, Ohtani, again, $70 million, or first of all, the Dodgers find a way to, circumvent the salary cap they've got $1 billion, in deferred contracts.
Do you think he'll try something like this with the Mets, or he's just going to get a regular check?
Who, Soto?
Soto.
No, he's getting a regular check. He wasn't going to defer any money. That's another thing. That's why the Dodgers probably fell out of this. He wanted his money up front, and Mets gave him, I think, I want to say like $70 million signing bonus.
They did, 65. Right? I'm looking at it. Yeah.
So that's another, again, Ohtani's playing for peanuts comparatively for the first 10 years of his contract.
Woo!
Chickens are going to Rooney Bruce at the Dodgers. I mean, you got $1 billion right now on that roster. They got $1 billion in deferred contract. That's a lot.
Yeah. But they got two World Series out of it.
Well, some people say one, but
well, you got the Ohtani, and then you got the Mookie Betts. They win a couple years ago.
They did. They won in 2020 COVID year.
The COVID year, yeah.
Yeah.
60 game year.
Yeah. And I guess the angry Dodger fans will tell you they would have won another one if the Astros didn't cheat. But I think that's just, again, shut up.
Hey, Keith, I hope you can come back on next week and if it's cool with you.
Yeah, we'll do it. Send me a reminder so I don't forget, though.
Yeah, of course I will. I wouldn't have bothered you today, but the Belichick stuff, my head is just going to explode. I had to get your opinion, man.
That's fine. It's not a problem at all. And I'm happy to come on whenever I can. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, because it would be on Wednesday right after your show, man. And
my wife was out anyway, so when I got done, I didn't have to rush right out of here.
Oh, awesome.
So I just heard her
Keith
come in.
Finkel,
So.
man. TGI Sports. No, who do you got anybody on this Friday on your show?
Now, Friday, I've got Wesley Walker, former New York Jet standout, all-pro wide receiver. Played 11 years with the Jets. Played college football at Cal. Was a great player there. He'll be on as my guest this Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern.
Oh, wow. Cool. I was hoping you'd get Gastineau on, talk about that Brett
Oh,
Favre
my
issue.
God. Geez, I'm not sure why I'm on. There's something that poor guy's been hitting the head too much, for crying out loud.
Yeah, you hurt me. I'm like, that was a few years ago. There was a documentary.
That's a long time ago now. That's gotta be.
Well, I'm saying when he approached Favre, but my point is TJ Watt's already got the record. It's a moot point.
Oh, I know. Well, I kind of get Gastineau's point. I mean,
me too. I do. Yes.
You don't think about the fact, well, he just rolled over, he gave him the sack. Well, Gastineau can sign his name for a whole lot more money if he's the all-time season sack leader.
Right.
And he could have done that for a long time before Watt
for 20 years before Watt got it. 21.
So
yes.
I get his point, but why are you holding a grudge 25 years later? I mean, by the way,
you watch a lot of football. I was in New York at the time. I was living in New York at the time.
Oh, he
seen
laid
that
down.
game live when he took the dive for.
I did too.
Yeah. Did you?
He took a dive for sure.
Yeah. He told him beforehand.
Yeah. It's
so.
Actions have repercussions. What are you going to do? Maybe something up for 25 years. It's hard to believe these guys haven't come across each other in 25 years.
That was really funny. And something, Dan Patrick replayed it, and he explained something today. And I didn't catch this. He says, Favre says, "You may hurt me." Favre thought that he wanted to sack him right there.
I think. Did you see Favre kept backing up.
Yeah.
It looked like the film could have been edited a little bit. I don't know that was like straight through with how it actually went down, because it was funny. Favre was standing much closer to it, and then they took another shot, and he was standing much further away. Because I think there's a chance. I don't know if Gastineau is drunk or he's just punch drunk. Maybe both.
He looked punch drunk, didn't he?
Maybe he would have sacked him right there and body slammed him. I don't know.
You may hurt me.
You might have heard him.
Well, they look so stupid arguing about stuff like that.
Oh, it was very awkward. And
I can't wait. I've already recorded. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah. Somebody told me that it was all staged. I'm like, that wasn't staged. That's too awkward.
He looked like he was really mad about that.
Oh, he was. He
Favre
was
like, dang, my bad, man.
Favre was kind of like, after a couple of seconds there, it looked like he was literally afraid that something might happen. And the guy kicks him out of the way there very neatly.
You could tell that there was something, and Favre put a long apology out. Yeah, I don't know if you saw that.
I read it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right.
I thought the apology was. I thought it was called for, and I think he did the best he could have done.
Well, he lied in the apology, but yeah.
Other than the fact that he said I did lay down, but only to save my health, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to get killed.
Just say, my bad, dude. I didn't think it meant that much. I'm sorry. Right. I just like Mike, and maybe he's thinking that they would take him out of the Hall of Fame for that. Keith Finkel, everybody. Thanks, buddy.
Robert.
See ya. Back here tomorrow with Kevin Carroll. We want to get some predictions here, talk about Tennessee, Ohio State, and more here on the Real Sports Scope.